rock and roll, blue sky, sparkling star coach. Yes, you. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. And I am here to share with you bits and bits of MCC secrets and little details and insights that I gather as I'm working with coaches just like you. Hmm, might have been you. I don't know. But I want to tell you about there's something about there's a couple of oh, I'm just getting a collision here of thoughts, but I want to talk to you about doing the impossible. Doing the impossible. And first off, we're going to break apart a couple of little confusions here. So first off, when we talk about possibility, the simple collapsing and confusion is that we mix up possibility with probability. All right? You get that? Possibility is anything is possible. It's absolutely anything is possible. I'm going to go there in just a moment. Probability is what we use when we base on past information, data, past experience, and then we assess it. We then assemble, we look at averages and predictions, and this is what probability is, the likelihood of something happening. Is it possible that we'll be able to go to the moon? Of course it is. Is it probable? Not up until the mid 60s. Is it possible that we could talk to each other on our TV frames in our homes across the world and look at each other's faces and talk in real time? Is it possible? Not until the mid 90s or whatever it was it really probable? So notice, is it possible? Well, is it possible to have a computer on your phone and watch movies and access any information worldwide? Well, of course it's possible. Was it probable? Not until, again, maybe the 90s, 2000s. I'm getting a little fuzzy as to when. Actually, it was more of the 2000s when smartphones started to really come around. All, all of that stuff. So we're collapsing possible with probable. So when you say, well, client, is it possible this? And they go, no, that's the wrong answer. Or actually, that's an answer to a different question. They're answering, no, it's not probable, it's not likely, but it is absolutely, entirely, 100% possible. Why do I know this? Because our entire life history is built on doing what was impossible. I just quoted a couple of examples. Is it possible to make it up? I mean, is it possible to have a writing instrument that you can carry around and is always has ink? Well, sure, it's possible, but if you asked that same question 100 years ago, not a chance. It's not possible. No, it is possible. We just haven't figured out how to do it. It's not probable. You get the difference. Is it possible to be in a room with its own false artificial light like that? Well, right now, of course, it's possible. And is it probable? Of course, it's probable. It's very easy. But if you went back again 100 some plus years ago, no way. It's possible. Of course, it's possible because it happened. It's just 100 years ago. If you had asked, how do you do it? The answer would be, well, I don't know how to do it. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible if I'm willing to open up and see that it's possible. I just don't know how to make it probable. That is the conflict that we're in with our clients. So when we start looking at, so that's one part. And then now that we're looking at, oh, well, but yeah, but that's impossible. Oh, it's impossible for this. It's impossible for that. Guess what? We just broke apart. Impossible is not possible. Boy, did I just contradict. That's a paradox. Impossible is impossible. You get that? Because everything is possible. We just haven't figured out how. So now take a look at your own life. Is it possible to have a business where you could coach and help people through their problems and get paid for it? Of course it is. At one point, it was always possible. That's why you stepped into this in the first place, because there was a part of you that saw the possibility that was there. It was always there, and then you saw it and went, oh, I see the possibility. You may still not have figured out how to make it probable. Maybe you do now, maybe you don't. But that's what the learning, that's what the growing, that's what the training and the education and the structures and the supports and the this and the that, all of that is to help shift from possible to probable. Because probable is where things occur. Things don't occur in possible, but those occurrences begin in possible. In possible. You get that? If we consider something is not possible, then we will not do it. We will not start. We will not go. It's impossible to fly through the sky from one city to the other. So why, if it's impossible, then why bother, right? But as soon as somebody, two brothers, went, wait a minute, it is possible. It is possible. I just don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out, because they acknowledged and saw it was possible. Just like you. Is it possible to have a thriving coaching business? Of course it's possible. Well, first off, you've got tremendous proof, because there are tens and hundreds and thousands of other coaches. Whether or not you're one of them, you are one of the body of coaches. And out of those coaches, there are tens, hundreds, thousands of coaches, including yours truly, who makes money, who supports, who has, this is my business. So clearly it is possible. Is it no, let's then, well, that's not the question. Of course it's possible. Somebody else is doing it, but is it possible for you? Of course it is. It's possible. May or may not be probable, be based on your current knowledge, experience, whatever skills, whatever it is. It may not be probable, but it absolutely is possible, because if it was impossible, you wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't be wasting your time and your money on something that is not ever going to ever become. You're doing this because there's a possibility. You may or may not have figured out how to make it probable, but that is just part of the journey. And by the way, that's also what these videos are here to help you with. Now let's translate that to your clients. Your clients are actually talking to you because they see something is possible. They may not know how to make it probable, but they see the possible. Now, they'll have a default that says, well, I mean, oh, it's not possible. That's okay. Just corral them, get them to get the difference. Anything's possible. And if it's possible, then we can set ourselves on a path to figure it out. You may or may not figure it out. That's not a guarantee, but I guarantee you will not start that journey until it is actually possible, until you see it's possible, until they see it's possible. Get that? So once you open up to possible, then it's possible to figure out how to make it probable. Possibility opens up and creates possibility. You get that? This is really the crux of the magic of your coaching. If your client doesn't see the possibility of something happening, then why are we wasting our time? And that's a viable question to ask. Well, wait a minute. No, I mean, it's not possible at all. There's no way it will ever happen. Well, then why are we wasting our time and your money, by the way? Why? Why don't we put our attention to something that is actually possible? Now, if it's not probable, if it's not likely going to happen, if it's only got like a 0.2% chance of happening, but it's still possible, it's just right now we don't know how it's going to happen or the odds are against us, but I still want it. And if it's still possible, then let's go for it. And by the way, the world is filled with billions and trillions and wagamamillions of moments that were absolutely against the odds, absolutely considered completely the lowest amount of probability, and it still occurred. Right? Look at the lottery, for crying out loud. Now, I'm not saying you're going to win, but somebody does win. And the odds of anybody picking the right 5, 6 numbers or whatever it is for that mega billion, jackpot, somebody does do that. And the odds against that are tremendous, astronomical, near impossible, but apparently it is possible. I just don't know the right numbers. That's all. But it's possible that I could win the lottery. It's possible you could win the lottery, even though the odds are absolutely astronomically against the probability of it. But it's still possible. Because if it wasn't possible, no one would buy any tickets. You get the difference. I hope you do. So continue exploring and playing this around. Oh, and I want to sink one last thing in. If your client still is not quite getting this, I started this off, look at from this moment, your entire past is filled with seemingly impossible, which is really improbable or low odds, or I just haven't figured out how to make it doable, but it's possible. Oh, I don't know. First off, is it possible that you start coaching? You look at your clients, it was impossible. So many things in their lives was considered and thought to be impossible. The idea of them being able to live on their own. When they were younger, they couldn't figure out how to do that. I mean, think about it. If you're in your 30s, how to live your life from in your 20s is like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. When you're in your teens and just in general, you still haven't even gone to college, and you're like, I don't know how I would raise a family and own a house and a mortgage and have a real job and all of that because you're in your teens. So you can't figure out how. But at that point, it sure seemed impossible. Let's go back even further. Oh my goodness. How about walking? When you were rolling around and crawling on the floor, you couldn't conceive of how to possibly get up and walk. Everybody else is doing it. How are they doing it? I don't know. This is impossible until you figured it out. Let's talk about you being born, right? I talked about the lottery. Now let's talk about billions of sperm trying to get to an egg through dangerous toxic conditions that are designed to get rid of and eliminate, and the chances of that one little sperm getting through and making an egg, and then that egg being able to split and multiply and expand and grow and become something that gets born. It's possible. It's always possible. That's why we have condoms and birth control and all of that stuff. So it's possible, but the probability of you being on this planet is amazing. And you are here. That means that you have accomplished what was once considered impossible. It wasn't really, but it's doable. Everything that's impossible is actually possible. We just haven't figured out how to make it probable until we do. One of my favorite quotes, Walt Disney. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. You have a lifetime of impossible that is actually a lifetime of possible. Take this, bring this to your clients. When they challenge you, just clarify and then help them open up and discover what their life is, what is truly possible in their lives, their brains cannot comprehend. But once they start seeing there is possibility, and by the way, as I said, they're working with you because they do see some possibility. That's a simple, solid assumption. There is possibility. Now let's go and figure out how to make it a probability. All right. I wish you wonderful coaching. Until the next, keep coming back. There's so much more. Oh, it's highly possible there will be more. It's also highly probable. And until then, I will see you on a next. Until then, I wish you wonderful, amazing, doing the impossible or doing the impossible, which is really possible.